by us, fans like you, but mostly us.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
In a dark corner of the world, three men will work together to bring you a podcast like no other. This is Fanatically Correct, where the fans, the geeks, and the nerds are always correct. With your host, MSK, YoPeace and Omega.
Hydrating water.
Wow, that was.
I read a funny meme about that today. That water is the adult drink. Like when you're a kid, you think it's going to be like coffee.
Yeah.
And then your parents start to let you drink coffee. And then especially Latins, café cubano, cafecito. You're dying to get some of that. Un café con leche. They usually just start with café con leche early when we're kids. But then when you get to a certain age, you're like, oh, alcohol, beer or hard. Actually, you start to think beer. Then you jump into the beer. Then you start to think it's hard liquor. You get into the hard liquor. And then when you're like a real adult, it's like hydration. Water. And then you realize, oh, I never wanted to drink water as a kid. And you're like, yeah, water is the adult drink.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, yeah, no, you're 100%. I think water is technically not only adult. I think it's technically like forever. Like, because we go by stages. Like, we try the coffee, we try the hard liquor, we try, like the sodas, like all this. But like at the end of the day, we end up going back to what water. They always told you to drink since you were a little kid, which is the water.
I think this generation of youth is better at drinking water than ours was.
Well, that's because they got all these gimmicks with like vitamin water and all these things that
water does taste better.
It's going to hydrate you. That's the thing.
We mostly got our water from the hose.
Yeah, yeah. If you were lucky enough, like because you can always go outside and get it from your actual garden. But no, look, it's true. Like I feel like it's just the gimmick thing with water now. It's people want to have like oh my water has vitamins. Okay, good for you. Like
flavored water.
Yeah,
flavored water, iodized water, purified water, spring water.
They put those little like drops of flavor into the water to give it a taste. But I personally like water as it is, man. Like I don't.
So yeah, like I was saying, it's an off Friday. Now you may be listening to this on a Friday. If not, you're either listening just before or just after Falcon and the Winter Soldier has started.
Yes.
But for us right now, it is not yet to start.
No.
So we got no Falcon Winter Soldier. We got obviously no WandaVision that just finished.
Yep.
We got no Snyder Cut yet.
Nope.
Got no Kong versus Godzilla yet.
Absolutely not.
Team Kong over here. Obviously no Mortal Kombat yet. That's not till next month.
We have nothing. We're left dry for this whole weekend, and I have no idea why.
Well, there's always The Walking Dead on Sunday. Anyways,
we're dry. We're dry.
Yeah. So
speaking
we're
of water,
do something. Speaking of water everywhere, not a drop to drink. So we're gonna do something we haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
Which is an episode dedicated to a specific topic that's not necessarily a current trending thing. Kind of like we do our Tarantino deep dive, or we do the westerns that we did an episode of, and, some of our con episodes, or we did like means of time travel, time travelers, things like that. So YoPeace and I have come to an agreement that we're going to do cars of nerdom.
Oh, you heard it. Oh, I know.
Yes.
I know you're sitting there listening to this podcast, that one listener. I know you're sitting there and you're wondering, did he just say cars?
Yes. Yes, Omega, as you're re-listening to this. Yes, YoPeace, as you're re-listening to this. And yes, MSK, as if you are editing this.
If you even are editing this.
We were talking automobiles of film and television, maybe some video games or comic books or whatnot, animation, cartoons. But so yeah, that's what we're doing. Automobiles from Nerdum. I am your host, Omega.
YoPeace.
And this is Fanatically Correct. And we're going to go and talk some cars now. I did break it into like 4 categories.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So this is a great topic that we can throw onto the social medias and come back to always later as another extended episode, and we can get MSK joins us for an episode. So yes, this is a YoMega episode. MSK is not with us tonight. He'll probably be with us on the next episode, or be with one of us and not the other. Whatever, you'll have an episode.
We'll figure it out.
But so in the 4 categories that I think is interesting, we can just jump around from them or do a category at a time. But I have cars that carry or are the story. Now, some vehicles might jump into the 4 categories. Because, for example, cars that carry or are the story. One example would be like the car Christine, where basically it is the story. It's, killing people and it's a horror movie or whatnot. Or like what happens a lot in Supernatural, a series that YoPeace and I both love, which we're going to at some point promise now, especially that the series is over, do a full-blown, full series condensement, ruin it for MSK episode, who's never going to watch the show anyways.
Yep.
Where they've had episodes where Baby, Dean's car, well, technically both their cars, but mainly Dean's, is the story of the episode. So that will carry over to another category, which is real cars, which that one I believe is an Impala, that always reminds us of that show. So it's a real car, existed well before this show, but for most of us nerds that watch Supernatural, we see that car, we think Supernatural.
Or so I hope. that's the case.
Yeah, and like you and I have spoken to earlier when we were discussing about doing this episode, the DeLorean. I mean, hands down, obviously, doesn't matter if it's a blue DeLorean, a red DeLorean. It has the tricks and everything. That's it. Once you see it, you think Back to the Future.
It's something about the DeLorean. Like, for example, like the Impala, I could see some people like saying, it's not an Impala because, some people are just really not car geeks, but a DeLorean, like, it doesn't matter what it has. It could have, I don't know, like 30-inch rims on it, and you're still saying that's the Back to the Future car.
No, and probably I'll go out on the limb to say the most recognizable vehicle from a film across the spectrum of nerdom. Like even people who really haven't even seen Back to the Future have already seen it at enough cons and commercials and charity events that Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Like you just know that's the Back to the Future car.
Yeah.
And the story. And again, like unless you watch Supernatural, you won't automatically see Impala and think Supernatural. And just like we can get into a little, definitely not one of our favorite series, but like what type of car is it that Vin Diesel has? Just to show what a car guy I am. But in the Fast and the Furious, the first one especially, but I think he's had in a few of the films. What's the name? Dom's car. You can't help but think of Fast and the Furious now when you see that car. That one's pretty up there for recognizable cars that you automatically think of of a film series.
I just don't know how I feel about talking about Fast and the Furious, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm doing this on purpose.
I thought we were going to go into it, but I'm just
for somebody who actually is a Back to the Future. It's a
Fast and Furious fan.
A Fast and the Furious fan. I'm actually don't want to talk about this. Don't care.
And it's not MSK. Don't worry. It's not.
Yeah, it's not MSK.
Oh man. So that one's
it's the Charger, right? He has the Charger.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly, the Charger.
Yep.
And specifically a black Charger with that, more or less setup the way he has it. Because honestly, you see a red Charger, and if it doesn't have, the same setup with the engine and all that, you won't automatically, think, Fast and Furious to your mind. But when you see it the way Dom has it in, the very first Fast and Furious movie and a few of the other ones, like, you can't help but think whether you like that franchise or not. They definitely did a good job of imprinting that into the their storyline. So we got Cars. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off because that's what I'm going to be doing all episode. And I apologize to...
Do it. Step on my feet while we dance. I love it.
And I want to apologize to everybody. But do like going back to Fast and the Furious, just to, give it a little bit of time, do you think that car itself is more famous than the other car? In that
the DeLorean, you mean?
No, not the DeLorean. In the actual Fast and the Furious sagas.
The other car.
What other car?
What other car?
Sir.
In Fast and the Furious?
Fast and the Furious.
I'm definitely off. Are we talking about the first film or just one of many of the other films?
Yeah, like one of the most famous cars in that one, which is the Supra.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to the
which is Paul Walker's car.
Google, yeah, from the first one, yeah, which is the one that he blew out, right, in the first race.
Yeah, that orange looking.
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know because I tend look at the Impala with Supernatural. I even though I don't drive a muscle car at all, trust me, obviously anybody who knows cars can get frustrated with this episode with my butt. I am more of a muscle car guy, and so as far as I would definitely go with with the Charger. Yeah, I would go with the Charger.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like the Supra picks up more of the. That's definitely like the eye, the candy eye.
Yeah, well, especially with the first. Okay, I saw the first movie when it came out, opening weekend with a group of friends, and of course there was maniacs already doing donuts in the parking lot after the movie, whatever. And everyone at that time, especially, that's when the Scions were first coming out with buy this cheap car and we have like a million different upgrades that you can basically do it yourself like Legos in your car to soup it up.
Cars.
Everybody owned a Honda Civic and was doing all that stuff to it, which still is a big thing that goes on with the Honda Civic. But same thing, everyone was buying a small Honda Civic or a small Toyota, but mostly the Honda Civic, and then just throwing a bunch of stuff, throwing rims and throwing big mufflers on and sound systems and crazy paint jobs and tints and just putting neon lights all over it. So it's like I feel like to me that kind of just blends into the whole atmosphere of especially the first, the second, and the third films with Tokyo Drift and all that. Yeah. Where they kind of just, to me, all just started blending in together. Whether it was a Subaru, whether it's a Honda, whether it's a whatever.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Just a souped up. Japanese make, for the most part vehicle, because they tend to, and some Korean ones too, but that have like all these different, easy accessible upgrades parts. And actually wasn't during that time that was like that show on MTV with Exhibit.
Oh my goodness!
Pit My Ride.
Well, I mean, that was I think that was way before that, but yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, like that show. That show was like everybody needed to get that upgrade their cars.
Exactly, and that's why I feel like what drove it home for me, and it is like even like I haven't ridden it. I don't know. Have you ridden it all? Because you're a bit of an annual pass holder of Universal Studios. Did you ever ride that Fast and Furious ride? Sorry to bring up maybe some bad memories, but did you? Because I never did, so I'm curious if what cars were, obviously.
Okay. Do I spoil it for the people that want to go on this ride?
Actually, is this ride still open, or isn't it closed right now?
I think it's closed. I tell you what,
it's closed because of the pandemic.
I tell you what, it's not a good ride at all. And,
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard and what I've read.
I'm not saying this because everybody pretty much knows that I really don't care about that franchise at all, except part 1 and part 3. That's the only things I really do admire about those movies. But I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. Do I spoil it? I want to spoil it for them. I want to spoil it for them.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
You're not in a car. You're in a bus.
Stop it. You go into a Fast and the Furious ride and you end up on a bus. No, not even end up. The ride is a bus.
It's a party bus.
Speed.
It's not good at all.
Speed.
It's not good at all. Even
wow.
Even what's happening, like story wise, you're like, okay, out of the whole franchise. Why am I here listening to this thing that's happening right now in front of me?
That is so bad.
Oh, it's bad.
That
it's
is
bad.
so bad.
Have you been to the new King Kong?
Yes, I like that. Right.
Okay, well, think something.
But that makes sense.
Yeah,
At least King Kong, it makes sense.
Right. Well, think something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, because at least with King Kong, you move from spot to spot, and then what happens around you, of course, is, King Kong and fighting the dinosaurs and stuff.
That makes sense. You're in a truck with people.
Because it's what's going on around you, not the ride itself. I would expect from a Fast and Furious ride, I'm going to feel like I'm in a car going extremely fast.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what. That bus moves pretty fast.
But it's a bus.
But it's a bus at the end of the day.
Wow.
It's like speed. It's what the ride should have been speed. I think keep
speed would have made more sense.
Over 50 miles an hour. Let's do this.
That is bad. So, anyways, in that ride, when they present, I guess, other vehicles, whatever, do they show the Charger, or is it just a whole lot of the other type of vehicles?
I don't even think they show any cars, man. I think they just show.
What?
I think you're just in a heist environment type of deal, and there's
wow.
no. I mean, to be fair, when you're walking around the place to get to the actual ride, there are a bunch of cars out there.
Yeah, displayed, but it's not part of the ride.
On display and all that. But other than that,
wow.
Yeah, no, nothing exciting.
I had no interest in riding the ride. I am not a fan of the franchise to get disappointed. I want you to ride it. And yet somehow I find myself disappointed.
Now I want you to ride it. I want you to experience it. I feel like people need to experience it. That's what I feel like.
So yet another. We've already pooped on the Bourne.
We started already. We started on the right,
and now we're already on that one too. That's two hits, two chinks in the armor for Universal Studios with the Fanatically Correct over here.
Yeah.
What is it? The Bourne. What was the Bourne one called again? The Bourne Stuntacular. That's what it was. Fantastic name that is to replace Terminator 2 3D with. So the four categories, again, we started cars that carry or are the story, real cars that always remind us of a franchise or story or film or movie, fictitious cars made for the art. That's another category I'm giving. So like the BatMobile, that's obviously those cars don't exist. They make them for those films. That's the easiest example, but that's the other category I'm thinking where we can get into, like the Mach 5, I believe it is, from Speed Racer. That's not, that's not based on a real car or anything. That's a car made for that. The Go-Go Gadget Mobile. Actually, what's funny, a lot of these are cars that I'm bringing up that I've souped up or made to look like, or they already purposely have on Grand Theft Auto 5. Which
it's true.
You could check out our video on YouTube.
You can actually get the Mach 5. You can get the BatMobile.
The BatMobile. I've made the Go-Go Gadget car.
Yes.
There's definitely cars you can mimic to get the Fast and Furious car.
You can.
We'll post some stuff on social media to promote this episode of the podcast, because we definitely do a lot of that to play around. We do like some basically GTA cosplay. And we'll put some stuff on our social medias. And then the last category is just personal favorite vehicles that you relate to. So in other words, like, oh, that was a car that I had, or that was a car that a parent of yours or uncle or, a friend of yours had that reminded you. Like I have like a lot of family that, they were obviously growing up when I was a kid in the 80s. They were, high school age in the 80s. So like Fast Times at Richmond High, there's a lot of the cars in that, or like in Wayne's World, the Gremlin that Garth has and things like that. So a lot of people who were, grew up, they're like, oh, I had that same car. My buddy had that car and it always break down. And we have stories like that too, they're from certain movies.
My father-in-law is just like that. Like we'll be watching movies and he'll be like, yeah, I had that car. Yeah, I had that car. Yeah, I had that car. And I'll be like, man, like
you had a lot of cars.
That's a lot of cars. And it's crazy.
You wrecked a lot of cars.
But he backs it up because there's like pictures with him with a lot of cars. So like, yeah.
So like there's that too, the personal touch. So we'll probably kind of just hop around through categories. I'll kind of just go back to the list so we can focus more. But just wanted to give the examples on those things. So starting back with it, we'll go with cars that carry or are the story. I will bring up a baby from Supernatural.
Yeah.
Because I will say that they've done it. Number one, they did it in the best season finale of all, which was season 5. They also did a massive callback to it in the final episode of the whole series.
Man.
Of the importance of that. And I just like, it's one of the few times that I really felt an inanimate object just like, and without the car being like the real story, like look with Christine, like I brought up that example, like the car was the actual vehicle doing the killing, was basically the villain in the film. This isn't. It's an inanimate vehicle, and they just used it as a plot point to show like the memories in that car, and just the things that have happened in that vehicle, and it's just the way it's done, the way it's written.
That
Especially
was one of my
season 5.
favorite episodes of Supernatural, like top 5 episodes of Supernatural.
That's one of my favorite episodes of a show, period. I don't know. One day I got to sit down and rank that. But for me, there's other episodes that I've brought up before, which is like the 4 Lights episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. There's an episode of Angel where, I don't want to spoil it.
Don't spoil it.
For people. There's an episode of Angel that's up there. 2 episodes from Watchmen. Now an episode, you know what I mean, from WandaVision.
Yeah.
Where it's just like,
that's going to be really hard for you, man.
It is. But
with the amount of TV that we watch,
I know. But that is, and I can easily say that's definitely my top 10. I definitely would take the season 5 finale of Supernatural as one of my standalone by itself episodes of any show I've watched on TV. Worst case scenario, I rank it 10. Worst case scenario.
I hear you.
But it's so good. I mean, and because of what they did with a car, what they did with an automobile to use it, and even the way it's narrated, in that aspect, and they talk about like the year it was made and the line that it came off of, and then they just start to go over the memories that took place in that car, and then when you get down to what's really happening in the story, the car is used in such a way to really drive home an incredible storyline, a very emotional, dramatic scene, and very possibly was going to be the series finale. That was supposed to be originally the series finale. They moved on. They were able to do a decent job to give us many more years of show.
They continue. There were some ups and downs.
You can't
Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's hands down my favorite episode of Supernatural. Period. For sure.
It was.
So it's easy to pick that as
definitely
the best
my top 5 of Supernatural's favorite episodes for sure. And it's really up there. Like I say top 5, but it's probably like top 3 at this point. Like it's really good.
And then let's see, lightly, I kind of feel that because it's road trip movies, even if they don't focus on the car as much, so much happens in or around or on the car. They carry the story. And a good one for that, and actually in both versions of it, because technically the reboot is actually a sequel, is Vacation, Family Vacation.
Yes.
With the originals with Chevy Chase and the bunch, the kids, which they always change out, and the usual wife and all that. And then even the new one with Christina Applegate and from The Office and Hangover. I don't remember the actor's name right off the spot. That he's like the grown-up Russ. That same thing. That car is a whole different other animal.
Ed Helms.
Yeah, Ed Helms. There we go. But the station wagon. I see a station wagon, especially that year, more or less, make or model. I can't help but think Family Vacation, and mainly because of just all the things, like the poor dog tied to the back of the car.
That's funny.
The grandmother's, body on the hood of the car. Scenes where they off-road it. The usual scene where he's pulled up next to the model and they're flirting and he's actually daydreaming in the car. And then in the newer version, the rebooted version with the family, it's like a made-up car basically.
Yeah.
But same thing. The things that happen in that car with all these it's another language, and the buttons, they don't know what it means or what it says, and like one makes the chairs turn around for no reason in the middle of driving, and it's just again, the story isn't the car, but so much is happening with the car as a prop that those are the type of cars too that there's a lot of emphasis and weight on those vehicles because of the way it's utilized in the story.
What type of car was that? Like the original one was like a Ford, right? Like that's a
it's a station wagon.
It was a station wagon. I'm just trying to get like the type of car it was, because it was a real car at the end of the day.
Vacation.
All right, we'll take it. You know what? We'll just say Ford station wagon.
It's the wagon Queen family trucks was used in filming were based on 1979 Ford LTD Country Squire wagons.
There we go. Ford.
And this vehicle is heavily modified by Hollywood car customizer
Obviously.
George Barris.
I mean, the things that car went through, it better be
Yeah, I would hope so. Even though a lot of because what was the car from Ghostbusters? It was a hearse, right? It was a hearse that they.
I thought that was a caddy, to be honest with you, but it was a hearse, though, right?
I believe so. Like they had gotten it from a funeral home.
From a
in
funeral
the film,
home?
I'm talking about, not the producer.
No, I'm saying like I feel like that was a caddy hearse type of deal.
Yeah,
Is that
the
what it
Ecto,
was?
yeah, the Ecto one is. You're right. It is a caddy. Is a 1959 Cadillac. Man, you're definitely more car guy than I am.
No, I'm not a car guy. I just remember reading
Futura
on
duplex limo style end loader combination car. Wow. So it was actually
wait.
Yeah, it
Did
is
you
like
say
a
a
hearse.
limo?
Yes. Yes. Which that makes sense because it's limo style. Which usually remember the hearses are made to have a one family whatever originally. Now they always families and funeral processions ride in the limo behind or forward.
You know what I used to think
yeah.
it was, which is funny that you mentioned that now that it's a real hearse. I used to think that was the ones that they used to use, like the first ambulances that they used to have back in the days, that they would just throw people in there and just drive like. That was the way they used to do it back in the days.
So it's a twofer. If they don't make it, you're ready to go.
Literally, you'll be hurt. They'll put you on this little wannabe stretcher. They threw you back there, and they would drive you to the hospital. That was like the ambulance way back then.
And if you're DOA, they're like, just load it back up and go straight.
Yeah, there was no patient care. It was literally like throw them back there and let's get them to the hospital ASAP.
Oh, actually, what wasn't the Munsters? Wasn't that a hearse? That has to be a hearse.
The Munsters was a hearse. I had to be.
Oh no, it's not. Oh, I forgot. No, the Munsters are like that roadster type car.
Was it?
Yeah, the Munster Coach is what it was called. And what type of car is that based on?
Was that the Munsters or was it? I'm confusing
Only one
cars
coach
now.
was made it was made just for the series. So there you go. That's a made up vehicle.
There you go. That's one of those that goes in the category.
That's that category from 3 Ford Model T bodies and is 18 feet long.
My goodness, 18 feet.
So, yeah, because like the whole family was on that car.
For Munsters. Oh man, that's funny.
I don't know why I thought that was a hearse. There is some type of horror.
You know what? I'm looking at a hearse in my head, and I don't know where is it from now.
I don't know either. Oh, I gotta figure that one out. But so that goes into the category vehicle made up actually for a show or series. That's a good one. Now, okay, back into that category then, and then I brought it up earlier as an example. Well, number one, the BatMobile. That's the easy one. I mean, there's so many different BatMobiles. I think it's easier probably just to pick a favorite if you can narrow it down to one.
Can I narrow down to a favorite
of the BatMobiles?
BatMobile.
Do you have a favorite BatMobile?
Man,
or maybe a tie between two or something.
You know, I don't know why. And maybe it's because the way this car always made me feel as a kid. Mm-hmm. From the animated series,
we have the same one.
There's something about the way they drew that car and the way that car got around the city. Yeah, that even the movie kind of like tried to do that, like the first Batman movies. Try to imitate that feeling of that car. It was that long. I don't know. There was something about that car that's just always that I can always go back to that
gothic Gotham, right? And for some reason, I guess because it's like the Phantom type vehicle, and like when you go back to like just that era of the 1930s and stuff like that, and they're trying to give you that gothic, because that's the way the cartoon itself was animated.
Yeah, because it kind of felt like I love timepieces, so it kind of felt like we're in the the 1940s, exactly 1930s, and you got that feel of that iconic look to that car, like that Dick Tracy feel to it, type of, I don't know. There was just something so much intriguing about that car that every time I think of a Batmobile, that's the first car that actually pops up in my head.
I feel like I'm mentally chatting you right now because Dick Tracy was like also popping in my head.
That's funny.
Not just the movie with Warren Beatty, but like also the animated cartoon.
Yes.
And then I'm thinking like the Phantom. I'm even thinking like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And the thing is like, exactly. The elongated. And the thing is that was, and that's another made up car because that's the Captain Nemo car, which is such a badass looking ride. Especially because the whole submarine thing and all that. But the whole thing is like the way that animation was, it was supposed to be like, it's now, well, no, now then, so like the 90s. It's now, but like if the 40s and 30s and 20s never really went away. Yeah. Because they wanted to give that strong mafia without reflecting like because, you know, when, I mean, not that any mafia is kid friendly, but like you said, because of Dick Tracy, it's a form of character, cartooning that era in a way that's more acceptable for children and family, because you want to go with the Tommy gun era and things like that. And it's crazy because that even in that animated series, they'll have other villains come in with obviously much higher artillery than a Tommy gun, but you know, they would have, a lot of the characters would have it for that series. Even the Joker would, you know, and then what is it, Mask of the Phantom? Yes. It had a Tommy gun, and they just really brought home that classic mafia look. So because of that, usually the heroes of those films and those eras had like that elongated, you know, hood and just that gothic, you know, feel to it as well. And it just captures. It's also that, you know, both of us and a lot of people's are like favorite animated series ever. But it does drive home the feel, and like you said, it makes sense because Tim Burton, he tried to do a gothic version of Batman and so they did the same thing with the vehicle. I actually have a tie because that's my favorite overall, but I put really close to it. It's not just because I like the Nolan series itself, but I just do like the concept of taking that leap into changing it, and you know, and obviously Snyder used it with for the Ben Affleck version of Batman, but like a tank, but it's not just a tank. It's like the one in the Nolan verse is like it's a tank with a stealth mode. Right. You know what I mean? And that makes sense. Like it would need to be a vehicle that's strong enough to take, you know, heavy fire, you know, from munitions against it. It would need to be able to plow through a truck or other cars or vans or building, exactly, you know, and have the stability to do that, but also have a mode where it can get quiet, so like the entire city doesn't hear him driving.
Yeah, those tires. That sound of those tires in the Nolan version were pretty awesome.
It was almost like a Transformers. Oh, Transformers. That's a whole nother. That's a whole other angle.
Yeah, something else. We'll get to that.
You know, exactly. Like just the sound of it. Like it just gave us such a new look and concept of what would be a more logical, strategic vehicle for an actual Batman. Because that's what Nolan was playing with. Was like, you know, I'm not going to be real. It's still based on a comic book. But if we were trying to be real, what would make the most sense with this character?
That's why I like those trilogies so much. Is because it was so grounded for us. Like, exactly, if this person existed, if this villains existed, if this city existed, what would you know, like the reality of it, could this happen, you know, if it was like almost to where you live now, which is, I appreciate that. That's why I like them. But moving on now moving on, can I ask you, do you have the least favorite Batmobile?
Okay, I'm not gonna say, and I think some people will probably. And it's funny because I am thinking to say it, but it's not. Know what it is. We already know. I'm thinking to say it, but I'm not. But I'm gonna say it's not that, because unfortunately, it is just the first one that people are like, oh, because you know, obviously it's the show from the Adam West series, but it's not my least. It's just the first thing that comes to mind when you say that, because it's so campy, it's so crazy, but that's actually why I like it.
But it's not.
It's not. That's why I actually like it. Yeah. I actually like it.
That's your least favorite?
Yeah. Well, my least favorite has to be, you know what? It's going to be a tie because I can't even think of them in my head right now.
I'm going to tell you what it is.
It's a combination of Val Kilmer and George Clooney's Batmobile, because I can't even remember them.
Forever. Those two cars right there,
I can't even think of them. Like, I don't even want to. I know they were like organic with lights in them. Like, I can't.
Those two cars right there are my least favorite.
I've only got a picture so far of the new one, of the Batman with Robert Pattinson. I already like that one better than either of those.
I agree. Those
and that was like a real car. That was just like a Mustang or something with some lights on it.
Those cars belong on South Beach Corner. with the amount of lights that they were driving
Seriously.
around. Where was the stealth in that, sir?
None whatsoever. It was a club. It was a club. It belonged in the Fast and Furious ride, apparently.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Those two cars are definitely a tie for me.
Horrendous. I can't even fathom those.
I'll take those. I'll take the original Batman car over that any day. Any day.
Oh, horrendous. Back to the Mach 5 was also one. Moving on.
Mach 5, let's go.
Yeah, because Batmobiles, we could literally do, I mean, they have documentaries on just Batmobiles. Yeah. They have, you know what I mean? So that's why it's easier to wrap over what's our favorite, our least favorite, why, and move on from there, because we could probably almost dedicate an episode to Batmobiles. There's already been so many and so many more coming, and maybe after the Snyder cut, that'll be something worth more diving into. The Mach 5 is awesome. It's such a distinguished shape. Whether it's the movie version or the animated or any of the animated cartoon versions, they have more than one. I always think of the original Go Speed Racer.
Yeah,
Go.
that's what I always think of.
And Racer X's car as well.
I actually enjoy that the actual movie, the movie that's me. That's my personal movie. I liked it because not only did the actual creators of the actual series some of them took part in making it, but I feel like they got a lot of things for the fans. The fans, I feel like they try to do a lot of things for the fan base, and for me personally, I enjoyed it. They got the car down, they got the racing type of deal down, and it was very comic book, almost animated. It was kind of animated while you're looking at the actual movie. So
yeah, I don't think that movie was a fail at all for what it was. I enjoyed it, and I think it hit the mark. You know what I mean? I just think that overall it was a movie that came late. I don't like Speed Racer wasn't, in other words, they were trying to take something that was a little bit old. It wasn't during the nostalgia era. Like the nostalgia era is like more about now and started about 5 years ago. But they thought they were going to capture the nostalgia and really just try to get a new audience. And, I think it just missed the mark on that, on the timing. But I felt that it was casted well, especially when you compare it to the actual animated series. And I just think overall, I mean, it had a decent story. And it had good effects. Yeah, and it captured the whole racing concept and all of that. I mean, it worked. It was a fun work, but that car is it's an iconic vehicle. The whole thing that it could jump, you know what I mean? Especially when the cartoon first came out, which was like the early '80s. Yeah, that whole thing, it could jump over things, and actually had a pretty dramatic storyline, which they did capture in the. In the film.
Yes, they did. Which I enjoy that. That's the thing that actually...
Which in an animated series, that was spoon-fed to you like a serious drama. Like you were slowly, little by little, getting that Racer X, spoiler alert, is Speed Racer's older brother, you know what I mean? That and had gone into like becoming basically like a superhero or agent basically against, villains. And he was always watching out for his brother. And it's an interesting storyline. And I was like a young kid watching that. Because I remember I had to watch that late at night on MTV. Like I think it was reruns.
You want to go crazy, man? Mm. I was watching that in Cuba, man.
Nice. That made it over there. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So, but you were watching in Spanish. That's the good thing about when it's dubbed. Like you can throw any language in it.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what that sounded like in Spanish. I kind of want to watch that just to get that feel, to see what you got.
That's an iconic car. I think I don't think everybody will recognize that's the Mach 5, but I think if you see a car like that driving down the street, you will have to at some point be like, man, I know this from somewhere. Like without the actual logos on it, I think you will have to like turn and be like, yeah, I've seen this somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, just to a side note, because we brought it up a couple times, the Christine vehicle, which was the murderous vehicle, was a 1958 Plymouth Fury.
Plymouth Fury?
Fury is what that was. What's funny is, like, I know, like, I have, like, a couple of cousins that work on cars, and they, like, they'll buy a car, restore it, all that, and then sell it and start all over again. And I think that, like, mechanics or, hobbyists or whatever, they relate to that movie because they're always, like, cutting their thumb, getting rust in their eyes, banging their fingers, slicing their arm, like working on a car. It's like, man, and you right away you go, Christine, the car's trying to kill you, and like, so I think, like, that's kind of like might have been like with the motivation
The
for
joke,
that story is.
yeah,
you know.
Christine. That car is it's I don't think everybody would actually know where that car is from unless they watch the movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I don't think people be like, oh, is this Christine? I don't think that would happen unless they've seen the movie.
No. Well, actually, it was funny. I'm looking at this one here, and like, yeah, I mean, I immediately remember the scene and everything. But if I see it, I just think nice car. I'm automatically think
at this point you'll think it's a classic. Like,
yeah, exactly. No, but the car I'm going to bring up now. Sorry, I'm not talking about Christine no more. Is 1961 Ferrari 250 GT, but think red classic topless Ferrari. Unless I mention the scene, I don't think it's going to pop in your head.
Okay.
On cinder blocks, trying to rewind the mileage.
On cinder blocks, trying to
rewind the mileage. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I see that car in the street. I'm like, I don't think Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You know what I mean? But once I do know that car is like, oh yeah, and then you go straight, because that's a hilarious scene. You know what I mean? Well, it's hilarious too. It goes flying out the window, and then comes the drama of like the whole situation that Ferris Bueller has in it, which is that that kid feels like his dad loves his car more than he loves him, and that whole shtick to it. But that's the car that they're joyriding. Well, literally, they're joyriding, and then the valet guys joyride.
That's funny.
All over the city. But yeah, that's not a car that I look at. Okay, this one's interesting because I personally, especially when I was a kid, and I guess that's why, because of the year, if you think Volkswagen Beetle, and this is going to be funny because you brought this up earlier about like with your kids.
Okay,
what movie do you think of?
Okay, but here's the thing.
Not the one that they're putting here. I don't care what color it is.
Here's the
unless
thing.
it looks exactly like it, I'm not thinking this movie.
And I know what movie I think you're thinking about because you just mentioned a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
Right? So I think personally, I'm going to think by far, like hands down, Transformers.
Same here.
Me.
Like, especially if it's yellow. Especially if it's yellow.
If it's yellow, you made it even better for me. Like it's definitely definitely a Transformer. Now, what I think that you're gonna be seeing in someone's eye somewhere might be saying, which this shouldn't be even going through their head, but it might be the love bug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Herbie, yes.
See, I can't do that because you know why I can't do that? Because it has to have that logo on it.
It has to have the number. It has to have the number on it and the stripes down the middle, and it has to be white. Like no, it needs all of it for me to even come close to thinking about that.
It needs to have that number on it. Like I don't care. Like
but for me, I'm thinking Bumblebee, especially if it's yellow. And it's funny because what you brought up is like now and you see them all over the street. You have Chargers, you have Mustangs, you have Camaros, they just go yellow, put the black stripe down the middle, and then they put the Transformer decal on the back. Like, no.
And here's the thing, like my kids do this now, and I have to correct them all the time because they do this all the time. They see a yellow car and they say, "Oh, that's Bumblebee." No, sir, that is not Bumblebee. Okay, that car is not Bumblebee. That's just whatever car. Like that's not a real Bumblebee. That's a Ford Mustang. That's not a Bumblebee.
Yep.
Well,
no,
I
agree.
correct them. Now, you see that car over there? You see that little yellow Beetle? That's Bumblebee. Right there.
Before I yell punch buggy and hit you, that's a Bumblebee.
We're still doing that? Do we still? Are we allowed to still do that?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, it's your kids. It's your kids.
Trouble if someone sees us punch buggy.
Child services for punch buggy.
Yeah,
it's horrible. All right, here's one that for you and I, both of us would definitely see this car in person. We would think it, and I think anybody older than us would think the same thing too. If you see a gray or silver Aston Martin, you're definitely thinking
James Bond, 100%.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I'm just looking at an image of this right now, and like, yeah, hands down for sure, I would definitely think that when I see that. Again, this is still a category of real vehicles.
And
as
I'm
of
not
right
going
now.
to a specific movie. I'm just thinking James Bond.
James Bond, always, yeah.
In fact, I have that car sitting in my garage on GTA. Just to tell people.
Yeah, same.
How
Yeah,
we
same.
really are.
We got that. Oh, we're easily do so much GTAing for promos for this. I think we're gonna have to do a Twitch stream on this as well with
that's awesome
with GTA and these cars. Yeah, we already talked about the 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor, which is the Ghostbusters Ecto 1.
Yes.
No, I'm not. No. Oh, yes. 1982 through 1984, Pontiac Trans Am with that nice little red lights going from side to side with the voice of Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World.
You better stop it. That's a Knight Rider, sir.
Sardines, egg, and pork and beans. Do you know what that means?
It's 12 o'clock and the party just don't stop.
Michael Knight. Yeah, that's that one definitely. But you know what? I think when I was a kid around that time, any two-door black sports car that I saw, I thought was Kit.
I mean, I could see you making that mistake. At
least I hope it's Kit.
It's the same effect my kids had with the Transformers and yellow cars. It's the same effect.
Yep. Oh, speaking of Universal Studios, yes, sir. The old retired police vehicle, 1974 Dodge Monaco with the big giant speaker on the hood.
Oh, I know what you're
Blues
going for.
Brothers.
Blues Brothers.
Yes, sir. Obviously, but that's a customized real vehicle, obviously, for a movie. So that kind of jumps categories.
Let's just say something. Like, if you see that car without the speaker on the top, do you think Blues Brothers?
No, I think probably like Police Academy or just like police car.
I do as well. I would think Police Academy before I think Blues Brothers.
Yeah. Okay, I see an AMC Pacer. I definitely am thinking Wayne's World. Oh, you know what? I got it wrong. I was thinking it was a Gremlin. It's not. It was a Pacer. The AMC Pacers were the one from Wayne's World with the famous Bohemian Rhapsody scene.
Ah.
So that's
AMC Pacer.
See, same thing. Gone in 60 Seconds. All those cars. I don't see a Ford Mustang GT and think Gone in 60 Seconds. I don't. All those cars bleed into one another for me, just like what I was saying with the Fast and Furious.
But you know what car I do think of a lot, and I don't know why, but I do.
What?
It's Matt Max's car.
Yes, and you know what? I just got to there. That's the 1973. That's funny. I feel like we're videoing each other. I'm letting the audience know that we're not.
We're not. We're really not.
We're just in sync tonight for some reason. 1973 Ford Falcon GT. Yeah, and especially with the engine coming out, the hood, and with Mad Max. That's hardcore.
That is hardcore.
It technically holds up because the storyline. I mean, Fury Road's a whole other animal. Fury Road is a whole other animal.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I really love those. Not all the movies, but I really love that franchise, and I feel like the first movie. I feel like the first movie is kind of. I feel like the first movie is a little not outdated. It's hardcore, but you really gotta like sit there and watch.
Yeah. You gotta. It's like a spaghetti western, or like not like a Tombstone western, like a Clint Eastwood western, not a new Clint Eastwood western, like a spaghetti. Yeah. You gotta have a taste for that. You know what I mean? It's almost like watching some of the original James Bond movies. You know what I mean? You have to have, especially the Michael Moore, the Roger Moore era.
Right. Yep.
You have to have a taste for that to enjoy it for what it is. Almost like classic kung fu movies too. Sometimes certain ones that you just if you have that acquired taste for it, you'll enjoy it, and that is what Mad Max. I think what's the other one? The Road Warrior is more what Fury Road pretty much is, and is also hardcore. I mean, those are not those. I would not watch those with my kids.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, depending on the age, obviously, The Spy Who Loved Me. No, there it is. The Supra, Fast and Furious. No,
I think the Supra would definitely be very popular.
Yeah.
Here's one.
Days
Here's
of
one
Thunder.
that I don't know if we
all
ever
the NASCARs seem the same to me.
That we ever talked about, which is like, I guess it has to be a made up car at this point, which would be like the Dumb and Dumber little.
The dog.
Dog.
That's awesome. And when it's jumping the hill, the ears flop up. That's
the mud cuts is what I think they had on the side.
That's fantastic. The Iron Man from Iron Man, no. Die Another Day. Yeah, a lot of Bond cars, but really just Aston Martin is the one that does it for me.
I don't exactly remember the car, but Death Proof.
Yes, especially with the cage. Set up with it. I mean, that's like again, that's a vehicle that exists. I don't have that one on the list that I'm looking at right now, but that they definitely customized that. Oh man, and this is on GTA 2. Now into the category of made up vehicles for a film, the light cycle from Tron's. Which the Bat Cycle also from the Dark Knight series.
Yeah,
I mean, for
pretty cool.
That's pretty raw. But yeah, that's the Tron. Yeah, the light cycle is that's iconic. That's iconic, and I mean, it's just made up for that franchise. You're not going to see that anywhere else, but it's good stuff.
It is that car is that bike is just badass, bro.
It is. I mean, it makes the movie. I mean, that almost goes into the category also where it carries the story somewhat, because I mean, you're seriously getting the race scene with the lights and the intersecting light. That makes the movie. I mean, it's what the game is. You know what I mean? That pulls you into with the arcade game. I mean, it's next level. Black Beauty from Green Hornet, Lexus Roadster from Minority. You know what? The Minority Report cars, I did like those.
Minority Report,
the ones that they were like, they would connect on the thing and then you can go off road and then what is it, manual, which they tried to do, and what was it with Demolition Man?
The other one that pops in my head, and I don't know why, but it's the there's something about the Audi in iRobot.
Yes,
I just want that car now.
Yeah. That one goes into the personal tasting. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was more of I just like that car personally.
I just want that car. Like I want those magnetic fields, and I want it to drive for me because I don't like driving.
Yeah. Oh, remember? And actually, I don't know why I'm thinking of this too. The Blade from Blade Runner, the like that orange taxi. And I don't know why I'm also thinking Fifth Element. Remember the taxi?
Element, yes, it's another
Fifth Element that Michael Corbin had.
That he was driving.
The taxi he was driving.
Boom, in his car. Yes,
that's right.
Big bada
boom. Big bada boom. Big bada boom. That's fantastic.
For other ones that are listening, I apologize. I'm about to cuss. But there's one car that is another Tarantino, and it got a lot of pop, but just because I feel it got pop because of what the car said on it. Which,
yes, from Kill Bill. From Kill Bill.
Should I even say it? I'm not even going to say it. It's the P-Wagon. I'm going to say P-Wagon. Just to keep it.
Yes, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny, especially because it's on the keychain and all that.
Yeah, the P-Wagon. Yeah. So there's a lot of iconic cars, and I'm sure there are more. Those are just to name a few that we that we grew up or we like or whatever, but we can make another episode out of this and get easily. Deeper with the cars.
I gotta tell you, a car, you know what, I always think of this movie when I see this car. It is a true vehicle, and it doesn't carry the story, nothing. It's that it fits in so perfectly for what they do with it. It's from a heist film, and it is the Mini Cooper. I do think of the Italian Job. Yep. That is awesome. I mean, just that whole way they shot that sequence, and that's one of the such an awesome car, chase, sequence, and heist, sequence with vehicles, and the way they use these smaller vehicles so they can drive them through areas where you can't take a larger vehicle, but that can sustain the weight of all the gold and stuff. Like I see a Mini Cooper. I do think the Italian Job. And Austin Powers.
and Austin Powers. But what car was it? Now that you said like small cars that can fit into places to drive around. And the James Bond, especially Jason Bourne, James Bourne, Jesus with the JBs. What's going on here?
No.
JBs everywhere.
Jack Bauer.
Can you stop it? Jason Bourne, that car that he's driving, is that a Mini Cooper?
I think it is.
First movie?
He did the same thing from Bourne.
Now, I feel like James Bourne. Can you imagine a James Bourne mashup?
A JB mashup?
JB mashup where it gets all like, it's this person who gets everything from all the JBs.
That was the first one, right? The Bourne Supremacy?
Yes, from the first one.
I mean, the Bourne Identity.
The first one that he drives around when he actually, like he goes into, he takes his chicks, the girl with him.
Yeah, it was also a Mini Cooper.
That's a Mini Cooper, right?
Yep, it was also a Mini Cooper. Yeah, it's just
and
like
those scenes are amazing. Like the Jason
Bourne,
Bourne,
that car does film well and film well.
But even like the other movies, that's what like I would look forward to the car chasing, the motorcycle, like whatever chasing was happening at that moment with the Jason Bourne series. I would always look for that. I'll be like, oh, now it became a Jason Bourne for me.
Pretty much, yeah. You have to have that. You have to have that scene. Man, we could definitely easily do an episode on car chase scenes and traffic sequences or border casing. I mean, there's plenty, and I can go all over the place too, because you have Batman ones and you have action movie ones, you have horror movie ones, you have Final Destination, Never Feel Safe on the Road Again.
Yep.
There's a lot of wild ones.
There are a bunch of like other cars and trucks that we haven't talked about. There's trucks in horror films that we haven't even hit yet. Which,
what was that one?
I think
the horror films,
was it with the clown kind of like looking truck?
Yes, that one where the trucks like
that's
had their
exactly
own, like,
what
life.
I was thinking of.
Oh, I gotta remember what that one is.
That's exactly.
And then what is it? Big Trouble in Little China. He also had Kurt Russell had some type of truck or whatever also. And there's the one Stallone was a truck driver in an arm wrestling
with his son.
movie.
With his son.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, trucks and Optimus Prime, of course.
Yep. So we can get deeper. And I want to apologize to our listeners if your car that you enjoy wasn't mentioned. Just
yes. Well, that's why this will give us the opportunity. Like I said, we'll share this on Instagram and start getting people to put in cars into those categories. What's a great what's a personal car for whatever personal experience you like, and it's something we could bring up. A way to do that segue
is I'm gonna let you know where you can find us and where you can write to us. First of all, you can listen to our past and present episodes by typing www.fanaticallycorrect.com, and that will direct you straight to our PodBean site. There you will have the opportunity to follow, like, and rate us. But if you're into something more, extravagant, then I would direct you especially to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. That's just to name a few. You can also follow us on our social media websites using the @handle FanCorrect for Twitter and Instagram, or just search for Fanatically Correct on Facebook and YouTube. While you're on YouTube, though, hit that subscription button and press the bell for future notifications. And finally, last but not least, you can always email us with your suggestions for all the cars and whatever else you want us to talk about at contactfancor@gmail.com. That's contactfancor@gmail.com. Or leave us a voicemail by calling us at 786-704-8404. Don't forget to always ask your cell phone provider if you will be charged any fees by calling us, because if that's the case, please don't.
Yeah,
and that's it.
We ain't doing it. And we're still, especially in the, speaking of YouTube, we are playing more and more around with that, and probably because of this episode and like we said, the connection to GTA and how we can get some of these cars custom in there, we'll probably have some more YouTube stuff on there, and probably maybe some Twitch stream and whatnot, or maybe just do like an IG Instagram story live, something to like an Instagram live, something to that effect, and we'll play more with that. But yeah, I mean, this trucks, like I don't even
Trucks, man. We can get into trucks.
Like literally, we could break it into categories by vehicle type. Go SUVs, go cars, go trucks, go motorcycles,
family cars. You name it, man. We sedans. You name it. We can break this down. This can get deeper, longer, and more powerful. But we're not gonna do that today for the listeners because we're almost at the hour mark.
Yes. So I'm trying to think of a necessity, and you know what? This is such a good, bold, broad topic. There's definitely a car. I'm thinking that we can.
This is hard. As far as like recommending something for people to watch,
something that would be
gonna be car related.
Car related. that on top of that also meets the criteria of a necessity. Something where we're like, oh, you gotta see this, So it's Fast and the Furious, the first one. No. You gotta see the first Fast and Furious.
It's definitely Herbie.
It would have been Tron.
Yeah.
Oh, not Herbie. No. Transformers, man. There's so many to play with Transformers.
Man, you know what car I forgot?
What was that?
The Jeep on Jurassic Park.
Yes.
That's an iconic look.
But it's got to be painted that way.
I'm just saying the look itself, like it's.
Yeah. I see that. I don't want to drag this out. So we could do anything that's not car related. I should have pre-thought a necessity.
You know what's happening right now? I'm sure MSK, if he even edits this for us.
No, he's gonna leave it. He's gonna leave it dragging out.
He's gonna leave
suffering.
It dragging. The listeners are gonna be like, just hang up.
Yep, for sure. I'm gonna let this drag out.
Like hang up. What year is this? Hang up. They're not listening to us live on the phone.
Hang up. Go karts, Mario Kart, play Mario Kart.
Oh my goodness! You know what?
You remember the game Twisted Metal? What was it? Twisted Metal, right?
Dude,
remember Twisted Metal?
Listen. Don't you get me started on Twisted. Don't you get me started right now on Twisted Metal. That used to be my
Who didn't use the ice cream truck clown?
That used to be my go-to game. And you can ask my brother, like, I was so obsessed with Twisted Metal, man. Like, I used to play so much Twisted Metal. So much. That I almost bought a car.
Okay, what's the most current Twisted Metal game? And let me tell you now, I think that's the necessity. I think that's a necessity because if you haven't at least played some version of Twisted Metal, in your lifetime,
I don't know
the
what
most
Twisted
latest
Metal
release was
a
Twisted Metal black version that came out in 2015. Okay, it's been a minute. They need a new version like ASAP, especially for the PS5.
I think they have games now that try to emulate what Twisted Metal was.
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of cars.
Grand Theft Auto does it because you have that whole section of the game that's called I forget what it's now. It's called, but it's like Thunderdome type thing, or Battle Dome, something like that. And that's what it is. It's basically Twisted Metal. You soup up your car, and to do these different types of cars crashing and destroying each other, sequences. That basically what Twisted Metal was. But I remember was it an exclusive PlayStation game? Twisted Metal?
I don't know. I've always owned PlayStation, so I know I used to play it on PlayStation.
Yeah, I remember I played on the first PlayStation.
Yeah.
And that version of it. But man, who didn't use that ice cream truck?
Man, that game was so much fun.
The one that made no sense was the motorcycle. Wasn't there one that was like just a motorcycle? Like, who is going into this catastrophe on a motorcycle?
So Twisted Metal, I think that would be a great.
I think it is.
If they can even get their hands on it because the year is 2021.
Yes, if you enjoy, I'm sure there's a phone version app of it or something at this point. But yeah, you owe it to yourself if you're especially, and I think any of our gamers, and we probably inspired some of our gamer friends, whatever, to talk about that game
or play it, stream it for us. Man.
Yes, you know what? That's what we got to do. We got to Twitch stream somehow a version of Twisted Metal. I'm gonna find out. Either do it off my phone, off that new beta app that Twitch has, where you could play off your phone, which I do have one up there right now of me playing Marvel Contest of Champions, and I'll do some more stuff. I missed Mario Day, dang it, I didn't realize it. But I'm so lost as a nerd. I didn't realize that they do that every year. Yeah. March 10th, which is March 10th, Mar.10 Mario. But yeah, Twisted Metal, we got to find a way, because that was a fun game, man. I always had a good time with that game.
If you are a Twitch streamer or YouTube streamer and you actually are good do like classic games, I would tell you go into Twisted Metal. If you've never even played it, I suggest you do. It's fun. It used to be a really fun game, and I'm not even kidding. Like, I had fun with this game. I was obsessed with Twisted Metal for a long time.
Yes. Isn't Rocket League basically more or less kind of like it's like soccer with cars, right?
Getting into Rocket League, and it's maybe I'm not a gamer anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm not into that type of style. It's soccer, but it's soccer with cars, and it's fun. It's fun when you're playing it with your friends. Yeah. But there was something about Twisted Metal, man. Like I can't pinpoint what it was. Really.
Do you remember Crazy Taxi? That was only.
I do remember Crazy Taxi.
Was that only in arcade? Did they ever make a platform version? Because I don't know. I only played in arcade. But was there a platform version
in arcade as well?
So that was crazy. That's the one that had the Offspring song, right?
Yeah,
like that everyone would pick. Yeah, man. That was a fun one. That was a fun one. They actually have a pretty, back to the BatMobile thing. I don't know, some arcades still have it. There's like a BatMobile arcade game where you could pick any of the Batmobiles.
Can we skip the Bat ones?
Twisted Metal, go back to that. But yeah, I think we'll bring that up because you can actually use the one from the Adam West series. You can use the animated one. Again, some arcades have that, like a Dave and Buster's, or it's actually a pretty good like graphics game. Right. So yeah, that's our necessity. Somehow, some way, get a hold of watching somebody or play yourself some Twisted Metal.
Just time travel back into the past and get your
take a DeLorean and time travel back.
Man, you brought me back though, man. I'm honestly speaking, like I was obsessed with Twisted Metal.
We got to figure out.
And I used to love Twisted Metal. There was just something about that game that always drew me in, and I used to play a lot of that game. A lot.
We're gonna do. I think we can have some fun with this on a Twitch stream on GTA, because we could do some setup, like some car stunt stuff, and like try to reenact driving scenes. Man, we even did the van from Jackie Brown when we were doing the Tarantino stuff.
We did Tarantino. We did the van for Jackie Brown. We
did the car from Pulp Fiction. We did the car from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
We did Death Proof.
Yes, we also did Death Proof. Yes, Stuntman.
We
Mike.
have Tron bikes.
We do. We already got. Yeah, actually, we go to our Instagram now. You're gonna see half of these already.
We have the Tron bikes. So,
but there's some cars I'm not getting. That kit vehicle is so expensive in GTA.
Also, like the Batman and the Mach. Those cars are so expensive that I don't want.
The Mach's like $5 million. The Batman's like $7 million.
They are crazy.
It's crazy.
Listen, sir.
Well, actually, if you play our survivals, I do have in the prison one, you do get attacked by Batmobiles.
Look at that.
So I think there's a way I can I'll customize our survivals to include some of these vehicles.
There you go.
You can't drive them yourself, but at least you can blow them up as they try to come at you.
Me blowing up a Batmobile, can you make it look like the Batman and Robin?
Yes. No, what you got to do is make your guys, we got to make our guys look like, which we've done before, like Jokers and
little clowns.
Yeah, and Penguin and really, and then, so then we're blowing up the Batmobile.
That's funny.
Oh, we're gonna do some of this stuff. So yeah, that's it. That'll call it for this episode. This is definitely something we're looking forward to. Hopefully, get some feedback from probably just ourselves when we re-listen to this episode.
Yeah,
but this is definitely be a fun revisit, especially with MSK. The next episode is possibly just going to be MSK and myself.
Yeah.
If that's the case, we might just part 2 this thing, and part 1 will be with YoPeace and part 2 will be with MSK. If not, we'll see, because by then we might have some Falcon Winter Soldier a little bit to brush up on, but we might try to do that on
that'll be nice,
like on a weekend thing, maybe like a Monday morning type thing. I'll Instagram live that and just do a quick review episode for episode, and then we could just do like WandaVision and just do a whole recap of the whole series after it finishes. But yeah, March is starting to take off. Let's say next week, stuff's starting to happen.
I think after March now, like, you know, from March all the way to the end of the year,
especially Marvel-wise,
picking up a lot of things are going to be happening. I am 100% looking forward to that Mortal Kombat, man. That's what I have my price on, my eyes on.
Same.
Like
I hope we're not overhyping it, because I don't remember No, you know what? We really overhyped the first in our heads. We were kids when that came out.
I'm not.
We all loved the game, so we hyped up the first original one too.
Overhyping this right now, sir.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Put
might
the bar too
go
high.
out.
Putting the bar too high.
You know, the way we have to wear masks, I might just go out and buy a
scorpion mask.
A scorpion mask and just walk around with it, man. Like I'm really hyped.
With a spear and a chain at the end of it.
Yeah, that too. I might get arrested, but you know what? It was worth it. It'll be worth it.
We'll end on this. I'm gonna get a Cabal mask.
There you go.
You saw that poster. So we'll end on that, and this is Omega saying peace.
This is YoPeace. Peters.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Fanatically Correct. Until next time, you crazy kids. Signing off.
Wait, did you guys really just talk about Kit in like 2 seconds? Yeah, we got to do a volume 2.